I'm David Gerling. Welcome to Muddy Creek Rabbits. Today we're going to talk about housing and equipment. Now we're going to assume that after watching the last couple videos you've gone and decided to raise Rex, because everything I have is based towards Rex size rabbits. First thing is cages. We use mainly solid floor cages. We do have a couple wire ones which we'll get to soon. They're the old school cages. A lot of people don't like them. I actually prefer them. I think the rabbits stay cleaner, in better condition. If you have a doe that doesn't like to use a nest box, you don't lose litters nearly as often. Different size cages. These are 30 by 30s. These are good for does, does with new litters or grow up pens. This is a bigger size. This is a 30 by 48. These are good for litter pens. This is where our Flemish Giant lives. The smallest cage I would use, and I will argue because some people say you can go smaller, is a 30 by 24. This is Van Gogh. His mother bit his ears off when he was a baby. So that happens fairly regularly, unfortunately, whether it's ears, tail. Sometimes they take a limb off and you have to put the poor baby down. So the 24 by 30s we use for grow up hens or bucks only. We never put a doe in here. This is an older version of the 24 by 48s. This, when you open the door, the board that keeps the shavings and stuff in comes with it. I don't like this as much because when the rabbit comes out, if it kicks stuff on the floor. Also, if you're using it for a litter pen, babies can fall out, whereas on these ones it's a raised thing, so the babies aren't like, as a baby they're not going to fall out, and as the young ones they're less likely to climb out. The smaller wire on this it's called Baby Saver. If you're going to build your own pens, I highly recommend this. If you can get pre-built pens with Baby Saver, those would be the ones I use. So what do you need with the cages? I use coop cards, so I know which rabbits. It gives the rabbit's name, the ear number, sex, variety, date of birth, and the parents. Also on the does, if you're going to breed, you need some way to keep track of litters. You can either use a calendar to keep track. I use a calendar and I use doe cards, which on hers, it gives the same basic information at the top as this card does. And then for each litter you write the buck, the date you bred. Testing, if you learn how to palpate, I never have learned how to do that. So I use that for a wean date, the date kindled or born, and then the information on how many was born, how many you kept with the doe, added, how many of the doe raised, if you lost any, and then if you keep any back, what it is, the average weight, and then any special information on the doe. You also need nest boxes. We build all these. I much prefer the wooden ones. I've had bad experience with the metal ones in the winter where the babies actually freeze to the side of the metal. I've used wire pens. I talked about that in a previous quick video. The wire pens with the wire nest boxes with the bigger does, they just move them around however they want. Now, individual items you need for the barn. These are my recommendations. If you don't like them, that's always your choice, but these are what I use. Different feeders. This is a J feeder. It clips on the outside of the pen. I don't like these as much. I do use them for my meat pens. The metal will condense in the winter or in the summer and spoil the feed. Some of them are solid floors, some are wire. If I get ones like this that I use, I normally drill out to let the fines through. One reason I don't like these is the rabbits don't get used to you reaching your hands in the pen. If you reach in to pet them regularly, it helps, but a lot of people, when they use this, just use it to dump feed. It's good for if you're raising a lot of rabbits where you need to feed in a short time. I know commercial and fur farms use these because obviously they're not too worried about the temperament of the rabbits. They're just worried about quick production. Different types of crocks. The new ones are cast aluminum. We just got some. I'm not sure how I like them yet. They don't seem to condense as bad as the tin on the J feeders. We'll see. This is the first summer we've used them. These are travel crocks. There's lots of different ones. The yellow and the black and the multicolored ones are a harder plastic than the cheaper gray ones. I recommend these. The gray ones they chew down, and either you waste your money, or if the rabbit eats enough plastic, it's probably going to get sick. Ceramic ones are the ones I like. There's used to be lots of styles. They're getting harder and harder to find. I've got some plastic crocks that are old, or ceramic crocks that are older than I am. So if you take care of them, you last a long time. If you're getting crocks that sit in the pen, make sure it's a wide bottom. This is basically a kitchen dish. Somebody gave me the reason for a rabbit crock. The narrow base, it's easier for the rabbits to tip, and they'll throw over these ones. Especially if you're in a wire floor pen, if they tip it, the food goes out, and I've seen rabbits that were almost starved to death because the owner didn't realize they were tipping their feed. They thought they were eating a full dish every night. Water bottles, there's two basic types. There's the small mouth and the 45-degree wide mouth. Both of them have advantages and disadvantages. These are normally a little cheaper. These ones are easier to fill. Disadvantages, I found we go through the 45-degree bottles faster. The threads don't seem to be as good, and eventually these start to leak. The narrow mouth, the rabbits can get into these and chew the corners, and once they chew a hole, the water bottle leaks as it works on a vacuum. Water bottles, I would recommend go with the white plastic. It's an all-weather plastic, so especially if you live someplace where you get cold, it'll hold up better. Next is cleaning supplies. Always have disinfectant wipes. There's 100 uses in the barn, whether it's cleaning crocks, cleaning water bottles, washing your hands off after whatever. Towels, I like the thicker shop towels, or else an actual towel rag. Good for drying off, dusting off rabbits, whatever you need. Knives, which surprisingly a lot of people don't think of. I use two different knives. This is just a cheap folder I picked up at a hardware store or something. This is good for opening bales of hay, bales of straw, shavings bales, whatever you need opened. I also have just a cheap kitchen knife. They use this to cut apples or carrots or whatever treat I may bring out for the rabbits. A scale. This is a registrar scale. They're fairly expensive. You don't need anything this fancy. A baby scale you pick up at a yard sale or something will work just as good. Standard of perfection. If you are breeding for show, you need a current one. You can get them through ARBA. Amazon carries them. Some local libraries have them if you don't want to buy them to start with. They're not that expensive. ARBA just came out with a PDF version. You need these. This gives you all the information you need on Rex or whatever breed you decide to raise if you're showing. It tells you what you need to look for, what colors are available, what colors are supposed to look like, any disqualifications, stuff of that nature. For grooming, we use a grill block. The Rex fur is shorter, so regular brushes will not work with them, and the wire slicker brushes can actually damage the coat. So this just is porous enough it grabs the loose hairs. Sharpies. I don't know how many uses there are for Sharpies. Especially in the barn, you can tag ears when you're going through litters, write stuff on pens, write names if you travel or whatever. So always have a Sharpie. Measuring cup, most of the time with feed. Recs get about a cup of food, give or take a little bit depending on the individual rabbit. You can get these for $1 a set. We have lots in the kitchen where they're missing the cup, but you need those. Triple antibiotic ointment for small wounds. We do not treat rabbits for sickness. We call. As you can listen in the barn, there's no sneezing. Rabbits are all healthy. We have very few health problems. Pest control. If you live someplace where there's flies in the summer, or any time of the year, depending on how warm you are, you need something to take care of the flies. Depending on where you are, you can run into bot flies, which seem to like rabbits, or else just the annoying house flies and whatever. Tattoo kits. You need some way to identify your rabbits. This is a battery kit. I'm not very good at it. I don't use that. I'm old school, so we use the clamp sets here, which basically you put the letters and numbers in the order you in. They come in 4 or 6 number sets, and just clamp the ear. It's a lot like piercing ears. A lot of rabbits don't even twitch. And then a good quality tattoo ink. We've tried cheaper inks, we've tried India ink, they don't work. And then for cleaning cages, depending on the type of cage, just a decent quality dustpan. We normally get these with hand brooms that you need in the barn anyway. A broom or brush to dust off the front of the pens, keep cobwebs down, keep the cages looking neat. This is a toilet brush. I found it works a little better than the hand brooms. And then if you have one of the pens where you can just pull out the stuff, this is a garden hoe that we cut the handle down on, and it works good. Carry cages. If you are going to be transporting your rabbits for any reason, whether it's show, auctions, pet stores, whatever you might show, these are triple holes. This is a single hole for a larger rabbit. It's a little taller. You can, if you're handy and are going to be building, you can make these yourself. You can order the different parts, or there's lots of vendors you can get the carry cages through. I would recommend either single or double. The triple pens with full-grown recs, you're talking about 30 pounds of rabbit, plus another 5 or so for the cage. So it gets a little heavy if you're hauling a bunch. These are vinyl coated wire. They now have copper or powder coated wire. This is galvanized wire. The powder coat and the vinyl seem to last a little longer. For feed, we use just trash cans, depending on how many rabbits you have and how much feed you're going through. Depends on the size of can. We have 3 that we use for rabbit feed. And buckets. Doesn't matter what kind of bucket. Again, buckets are multi-use. This is a small bucket we use to carry feed around. And then that way you don't have to keep coming back to the trash can for every scoop of food. Good quality lighting. A lot of people don't think of that. These are 100-watt LED daylight bulbs. You want a good light that is going to give you true color on the rabbits. We tried fluorescent lighting, but the yellowing effect didn't show the good quality colors. And being an enclosed barn, unless you take it outside, you don't get as much daylight. So, and then these are the wire pens. These are used more for either does such as this that are kind of dumb when it comes to litters and push everything in their pen into the nest box and smother the babies, or meat pens. These guys are Californians. They've got a little bit thicker foot pad than the Rex do, so they are growing out in the wire pen. Hi guys. Sometimes you have to put multiple bottles on. I don't go any bigger than the 32. They do make 64-ounce bottles. One, the plastic on them is the lower quality clear plastic. They tend to break when you drop them. They also tend to leak in my experience. Fans in the summer. Make sure you clean fans regularly. I know several people who lost their entire barn when they were running dirty fans and they caught on fire. So, and rabbits do not like heat. I've always lost more rabbits in the summer than I ever have in the winter. So we keep fans going 24 hours a day once it starts to get warm. We also use ice bottles. Just fill up like a Gatorade bottle or a soda bottle. Freeze it, make sure the label's off. If it gets warm, or very warm that day, we're normally 90 degrees is when we start using them. Because we're a high humidity. If you live someplace where it's 90 and lower humidity, you might not need to. Just throw the ice bottle in, the rabbits will lean against it, lick it, play with it. Keeps them cool. Straw wood shavings. Obviously you need something to keep these in, keep them dry. As with the rabbit food, these get wet and it ruins them. They get moldy real fast. So, and depending on how many rabbits you have, how much straw you have to store. If you're going to have lots of rabbits, go through lots of straw. You're going to need a barn to store bales of straw in. Again, it needs to be dry. We have cement floors in our barn, so we keep everything up off the ground. Because in the summer, it sweats a lot, especially when it gets really humid. So, that's about it for housing and equipment. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, ideas, comment below. Subscribe and like this video, and thank you for watching.